Hi, Dr. Alex here, and welcome to a brand new audiobook released, which is Conan, the Phoenix on the Sword by Robert E. Howard, read by my good thespian friend, Jim E. Jones. And in case you couldn't catch the cover just then, here is a slightly larger version of the cover. As usual, it's probably best if I just read the back cover blurb from the audiobook itself to give you a good idea of what this is all about. Conan, the Phoenix on the Sword. This is the first Conan novel by an author whose life was cut tragically short. And yet, in his 30 years on this earth, he completed far more worthy, notable, and numerous fantasy works than some modern authors of far greater years. Howard's fantastic fiction continues to inspire to this day. This reading has been produced by Alexander Leiths with the aid of his thespian friend Jim E. Jones, doing his utmost to capture the spirit of his near namesake. Well, I think you've got an idea of what the book is. If this sounds in any way similar to something you've recently heard or seen, trust me, this is completely different from anything you may have heard or seen recently, even really recently. My recently mentioned thespian friend Jimmy Jones is something of a perfectionist, and although we had one complete rendition of the novella The Phoenix on the Sword completed, and possibly one might say to a broadcastable quality, Jim insisted that we re-record almost the entirety of the book again, until the version in this audiobook reached Jim's incredible exacting standards. As such, I hope you enjoy this audiobook, which is available on all the usual outlets, Google Play, Spotify, and many, many more. The links will be in the description, of course. And I think it now just leaves me to leave you with the audio-free sample. This time, I think I'll use the Google Play audio sample. And so, until the next video, whatever that may be, I hope you've enjoyed this little snippet of Conan, the Phoenix on the Sword, the audiobook. And until the next video, whatever that may be, to all my watchers, subscribers and viewers, take care and enjoy.
Conan, the Phoenix on the Sword by Robert E. Howard. Chapter 1. Know, O Prince, that between the years when the oceans drank Atlantis and the gleaming cities, and the years of the rise of the sons of Arias, there was an age undreamed of, when shining kingdoms lay spread across the world like blue mantles beneath the stars. Nemedia, Ophir, Bithynia, Hyperborea, Zamora, with its dark-haired women and towers of spider-haunted mystery, Zingara, with its chivalry, Koth, that bordered on the pastoral lands of Shem, Stygia, with its shadow-guarded tombs, Hyrcania, whose riders wore steel and silk and gold. But the proudest kingdom of the world was Aquilonia, reigning supreme in the dreaming west. Hither came Conan, the Cimmerian, black-haired, sullen-eyed, sword in hand, a thief, a reaver, a slayer, with gigantic melancholies and gigantic mirth, to tread the jeweled thrones of the earth under his sandaled feet. The Nemedian Chronicles. Over shadowy spires and gleaming towers lay the ghostly darkness and silence that runs before dawn. Into a dim alley, one of a veritable labyrinth of mysterious winding ways, 4 masked figures came hurriedly from a door which a dusky hand furtively opened. They spoke not, but went swiftly into the gloom, cloaks wrapped closely about them. As silently as the ghosts of murdered men, they disappeared in the darkness. Behind them, a sardonic countenance was framed in the partly open door. A pair of evil eyes glittered malevolently in the gloom. "Go into the night, creatures of the night," a voice mocked. "O fools, your doom hounds your heels like a blind dog, and you know it not." The speaker closed the door and bolted it, then turned and went up the corridor, candle in hand. He was a somber giant, whose dusky skin revealed his Stygian blood. He came into an inner chamber, where a tall, lean man, in worn velvet, lounged like a great lazy cat on a silken couch, sipping wine from a huge golden goblet. "Well, Ascalante," said the Stygian, setting down the candle, "your dupes have slunk into the streets like rats from their burrows. You work with strange tools." "Tools?" replied Ascalante. "Why, they consider me that. For months now, ever since the rebel four summoned me from the southern desert, I have been living in the very heart of my enemies, hiding by day in this obscure house, skulking through dark alleys and darker corridors at night. And I have accomplished what those rebellious nobles could not. Working through them and through other agents, many of whom have never seen my face, I have honeycombed the empire with sedition and unrest. In short, I, working in the shadows, have paved the downfall of the king who sits throned in the sun. By Mitra, I was a statesman before I was an outlaw. And these dupes who deem themselves your masters, they will continue to think that I serve them until our present task is completed. Who are they to match wits with Ascalante? Volmana, the dwarfish count of Caraban. Grommel, the giant commander of the Black Legion. Dion, the fat baron of Atalus. Rinaldo, the hair-brained minstrel. I am the force which has welded together the steel in each, and by the clay in each I will crush them when the time comes. But that lies in the future. Tonight, the king dies." "Days ago I saw the imperial squadrons ride from the city," said the Stygian. "They rode to the frontier which the heathen Picts assail, thanks to the strong liquor which I've smuggled over the borders to madden them. Dion's great wealth made that possible, and Volmana made it possible to dispose of the rest of the imperial troops which remained in the city. Through his princely kin in Nemedia, it was easy to persuade King Numa to request the presence of Count Trocero of Poitin, Seneschal of Aquilonia, and of course, to do him honor, he'll be accompanied by an imperial escort, as well as his own troops, and Prospero, King Conan's right-hand man. That leaves only the king's personal bodyguard in the city, besides the Black Legion. Through Grommel, I've corrupted a spendthrift officer of that guard, and bribed him to lead his men away from the king's door at midnight. Then, with 16 desperate rogues of mine, we enter the palace by a secret tunnel.
Masters, mistresses, the Doctor requires materials in order to maintain the TARDIS and ensure continued functionality. He similarly requires carbon-based comestibles to sustain his own biological functions and existence. Master would never say this, but he requires aid beyond that supplied by this unit in order to acquire these. To aid the Doctor in his various tasks and creations, this can be most effectively achieved via Patreon or Substack subscriptions, or through donations directly to PayPal. Or if you desire physical goods in return for your contributions, written accounts of my travels with the Doctor are also available on Amazon. Links are in the description below. Thank you, masters, mistresses.